Can you evaluate the effectiveness of the clean water program for each province in the Red River Delta before which each loan was followed by World Bank, and how do you evaluate it?
Uh, First, let me thank the government of Vietnam, thank all the 8 provinces in the Red River Delta who have been part under the NTP program of this Rural Water and Sanitation P4R program, which was supported by the World Bank. This has been an excellent program, a successful program, but what is important is also this was the first P4R program ever initiated in the water sector. And Vietnam was the first country to test the P4R program. And this had required really some new way of thinking. This has required really understanding and learning a way of doing differently things. So the P4R model has been therefore a new way of delivering services at communal level, at provinces level. And this is why it is called Program for Results. So achieving the result was extremely important. And this has been a very good result for all the provinces. And I want again to congratulate the government. I want to congratulate the provinces of the Red River Delta for the successes they have in this program. Now, one important thing also is because of the result achieved in Vietnam, the P4R program on rural water supply and sanitation has been duplicated in all the countries around the world. Taking example from Vietnam, like in Tanzania, like for example in Burkina Faso, but also like in Benin. So you can see by taking a new approach, by really understanding the mechanism, by engaging the provinces and the communities, this rural water supply and sanitation, which fits very well with the NTP program for the 8 provinces of the Red River Delta, has been a very good success.
Yeah. For the programs to achieve such result, how does World Bank coordinate, review, monitor the program as donor of loans?
Okay, the program was designed bearing in mind 2 aspects, which was critical with respect to the rural water supply and sanitation sector. First was to make sure that we can enhance the access of sanitation and hygiene services and comprehensively integrate this at a common level. Second was to ensure that there is really sustainability of the rural water supply schemes, where usually up to 25% of the schemes usually become dysfunctional after 5 years. So the project was designed bearing in mind those 2 drivers and focusing then not only how to deliver infrastructure services, but also how to ensure that the services being delivered are sustainable. And this is why we also use the country system in order to implement this project. And this is also why we take advantage of enhancing institutional capacity, including at decentralized level, in order to make sure that it works. So the program was designed in a way that also there will be a program agreed, a program implemented, and there is a verification of the results. And based on the result being confirmed through that verification, it is then being paid, which was really an excellent mechanism also to foster ownership and accountability. And the program is on track, and it is important to notice this. Not only the program is on track to meet all the targets, but even to some aspect, the program is expected to exceed some of the targets fixed. So the World Bank is extremely proud about this, working with the government of Vietnam, working with the 8 provinces of the Red River Delta. And I wanted to congratulate them for all this good achievement and the hard work, the leadership, the open mind, and the flexibility they have demonstrated in implementing this program.
So, dear sir, after summing up the practical experience of this P4R program, how does World Bank Consult Vietnam try to achieve better results in other cooperation programs?
2 things are important here to bear in mind. One additional innovation of the P4R program on this rural water supply and sanitation was that it gives flexibility to provinces to look for additional financing means in order to implement the program going forward. And this was really good on how to tap on the private sector. And one of the results is a substantial amount of private sector participation has taken place in the rural water supply and sanitation program. About 45% of the water connection and the water sustainability results were financed through private sector. This is extremely good, especially in a context where we are talking about fiscal constraints for some provinces. So this is also a way through which we have promoted private sector to be involved when it comes to operation and maintenance of the water schemes. So from our side, we have also used a very strong team in order to support the program in terms of supervision, in terms of monitoring, and in terms of also working very closely with the different entities in charge of implementing the program. This is also part of where the capacity building, the institutional strengthening have been extremely important through a technical assistance. And I want to use this opportunity to thank the government of Australia through DFAT, who had provided at the initial stage of this program some resources in order to support the technical assistance linked to the P4R program in the 8 provinces in the Red River Delta. Now, based on the success of this program, this has been scaled up to 21 provinces in the Central Highlands provinces in Vietnam. Okay, this is very good. So going forward, our recommendation to the government, based on the successes, is really to scale up further the P4R program. And the P4R program has been even used in some other areas, okay, in order, for example, to show the same result here in Vietnam. So there is, as we speak, a P4R program on urban, and we have had also one which was targeting, the transport. So all those elements make it extremely conducive to better looking for concrete results of the ground, bringing a mechanism through which provinces can be involved, okay, strengthen institutional capacity at decentralized level, and then make the result visible, sustainable, but also embed on it financing means which can come from different sources like the private sector. We believe this is a very good model going forward, which the government of Vietnam can replicate to many other sectors. But at the same time, I want to stress the importance of the government of Vietnam to really now meet the target of universal rural water supply and sanitation. There are still gaps. There are still gaps in northern mountains provinces. There are still gaps on the Central Highlands. There are still even pockets of gaps, okay, in the Mekong Delta. Now, when you look at all those areas, There are also those where you find more and more ethnic minorities. So by addressing the issue of rural water and sanitation, we will be also addressing part of the basic infrastructure. We will be also contributing to some point to the nutrition agenda for ethnic minorities. So I would encourage the government, I would encourage the provinces really to take this even further, to deliver on this agenda and to make the universal access to rural water supply and sanitation in Vietnam.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Cảm ơn anh.